Welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports on this beautiful, beautiful Monday evening. We want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. We are exclusively right now on Frankly Speaking Sports on the YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. Great weekend if you're a Buccaneer fan. Unfortunately, not a great weekend if you're a USF fan, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night on our USF show. But as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go, what a great win. Everybody just about a week ago at this time was ready to count this team out. Basically, they were saying this team was done. It's over. We need a new this. We need a new that. Everybody was just talking bad about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Then all of a sudden, they come back out yesterday. They show you why they're still one of the most dominating offenses in the league, and they destroy in the second half the Carolina Panthers by the score of 46-23. And when you look at this offense as a whole, and when I say as a whole, I mean as a whole, you first break down the running game. Unbelievable game by Ronald Jones. Yes, he had a 98-yard run, but he still had 192 yards rushing on the day. Without that, he's still, basically 100 yards. Averaged 8.3 yards a rush, one touchdown on 23 carries. If you take that one long run away, Ronald Jones still went ahead, and he still rushed for almost 5 yards a carry. Tom Brady, mistake-free football. And, first of all, before we get to Tom Brady, let's go ahead and give credit where credit is due. Ronald Jones came in, one of the very first few plays of the game, a pass to Ronald Jones. He runs with it. He fumbles it, which led to points for the Carolina Panthers. Easily could have got down in that game. But, the way an individual handles adversity after they go ahead and make a mistake is the way you judge him as a player. And that's what Ronald Jones did. He came back, and he came back tough. And what he did in that game was unbelievable. Rushing for 192 yards, had that big 98-yard run, which pretty much took the wind out of the sails of the Carolina Panthers. Tom Brady, mistake-free football, 28 of 39, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, spread the ball. And, everybody was asking, Antonio Brown this, how is he going to fit in? Nobody's going to get enough touches. Well, how does this sound for distributing the football by Thomas Brady? He had 6 receptions to Chris Godwin for 92 yards. He had Michael Evans, 6 receptions for 77 yards. And Antonio Brown, 7 receptions for 69 yards. So between the three of them, they had 19 receptions. Don't look at me week after week because you get upset and they don't play well one game that this team doesn't have the ability on offense to be the most powerful offense in the entire league. It's just, you don't have to be a smart football knowledgeable person to know that. Want to welcome my good buddy Tommy from Temple Terrace as always. Thank you very much. And you talk about spreading the football around. 2 of the touchdowns that Brady threw came to tight ends. Gronkowski and Brady, a beautiful play to Brady. And Gronk had a couple of catches that was really nice, but he showed powerful. And once again, let's give credit where credit is due. For the last however many years, everybody's been crying about a field goal kicker on this team. Well, Ryan Succop so far this year definitely looks like the right guy in the right position. And we talked about Ryan at the beginning of the season, me knowing him personally when he played with the Tennessee Titans. Very, very good foot, and he's showing people. That's the thing about kickers. They get in slumps too, but they come out of it. And look what Suckup did. Another 4 field goals. I believe he followed it up with last week's 4 field goal performance. And then let's not forget the offensive line on this team. Everybody's talking about the receivers. Everybody's talking about the running backs. Everybody's talking about Tom Brady's. Come on, guys. Give this offensive line its due, especially when they play an unbelievable game like they did yesterday. And that's everyone included. Donovan Smith. I love the switch up with Shipley over there. With AQ Shipley moved to center, and they moved Jensen over to the guard position, and he was opening up holes the whole day for Ronald Jones. I love that switch move, a great move, and a great job. Give everybody on this offensive line credit. And, what I want to do now is, for those of you people, we'll talk about the defense after we go over a couple of short videos here. But I want to make sure that those of you that did not happen to see all the highlights yesterday definitely gets an opportunity to see the great highlights of the game from yesterday. So let's go ahead without further ado, like we do on every single Monday night's show, where we go ahead and review the game. Let's go ahead and show you the highlights from yesterday's game. Well, we were supposed to show you the highlights of yesterday's game. So let's see if I can get that back in there. Now the NFL doesn't want to let me do that. Video unavailable. All right. So we won't be able to show you the highlights like I wanted to, as YouTube has stepped in and said, for some reason, we cannot show you these highlights. And I'm a little concerned why, but hey, let me try a couple things here, see if I can fix this. All right, so we'll get that out of there. But anyway, if not, we'll talk about the defense. We'll get Tom Brady on a little bit as well. So for those of you folks that were expecting to see some highlights, we won't, but we'll get Tom Brady on. I guess Tom Brady on live is going to be better than having some highlights. So we'll go ahead and do that. But the Bucs in this 46-23 win, once again, they started out slow. The defense, once again, did not do a great job in that first half. Then all of a sudden, halftime came. We're tied 17-17. We outscore the Panthers 29-6 in the second half, and we just stopped blowing them away. And amazing what we did on defense that game. It's like the whole defense mentality and everything changed. Looked like they were playing. I don't know if it was a little bit more man-to-man, but it was definitely tighter coverage. And Bridgewater, well, not just Bridgewater, the entire offense of Carolina Panther was pretty much shut down. And you got to see why so many people have been excited about this defense. Now, please, don't think the issues that we have at cornerback and safeties is fixed. It's not fixed yet. I don't want to be negative in any way, shape, or form, but there's still a couple of things we got to fix on the defensive side of the ball to become a complete team. But, as far as the offense goes, Tom Brady was really happy yesterday with the way the Bucs came out, the way they bounced back. Let's see if we can listen to Tom if this video will go ahead and play for us.
Tom, can you put in perspective, just what you guys have had to overcome with the storm, with the delay yesterday on the airport, and to come out here and play so well on offense? I think you scored on 9 straight possessions.
Yeah, it was a lot of mental toughness from the guys this week, and BA just said from the beginning, like, there's no excuses. We got delayed. He was frustrated by it, but whatever, got in at 11:30 and, dealt with the storm earlier in the week, but we were just focused on coming out and doing a better job and, play better than we played last week, obviously. And it's in there. We just got to do it consistently and continue to make plays and run the ball like we ran it today. The line did a great job, and then keep getting the ball to the guys who can make plays with it. And there were a lot of guys spread it around quite a bit today. And it's going to have to keep improving, getting better. And we got a huge game coming up Monday night.
Tom, some of your best performances this season have come on the heels of losses. What is it about those games that, I mean, is it just that it forces you to dig deeper and to grow? What is it about those losses that you think propels you to have some of your best performances the following week?
Well, it's a team sport. So, I mean, it's the team has got to come together and understand, the things that we need to improve. And football is it's tough. It's not a game of perfect, it's, you got a lot of talented players, you got a lot of talented coaches, and you got to figure out ways to win. And every week's a little different. We got different guys in there doing different things. And, it's just a lot of things have to go right. And, we're working hard at it to make it better every week. That's what we got to do.
Next question will come from Greg Allman.
Hey, Tom, obviously you've made a lot of adjustments this season, but this week to have a change at center, to have two starters in new places in the offensive line, just want to ask you how well that worked and how much the line played in the success you guys had today.
They did a great job. AQ's done a great job since he got to us, and he was prepared to go. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy. Ryan did a great job moving over to guard. Cap hung in there. He always does. He's as tough as they come. Tristan's doing an incredible job, and Donnie's doing a great job. So we're getting great protection. They're doing great in the run game, blocking hard, being really aggressive up front. And it was definitely great to see him play physical today. So that's what we needed.
Hey, Tom, obviously Rojo had a killer game for you guys. What can you say about how he ran today? And from your perspective on his long touchdown run, what were you thinking? And at what point did you think he was gone?
I saw him get through there, and then he made a cut on the safety, and I saw him just get through the safety, and he was taking off. We were all excited. He was probably about the 50-yard line, and I was like, is he going to make it? Is he going to open up and go? And then, you kind of saw Chin close on him. I know how fast Chin is. And, he just kept going. And it was what's up, boys? Boys are hyped up. And, he broke away, and he kept going. So that was fun. It was great to see, man. You don't have too many 98-yard runs. I don't think I've ever had any 98-yard runs. That I've been a part of. So it was great to see the back of the 27 jersey rolling down the field, and just great to see him make that play. Line made a big hole for him. That was a big play in the game.
Next, we'll go to Scott Reynolds.
When you look at last week, third down was the enemy for you guys. This week, you converted 63%. You even converted a fourth down. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, AB, Cam Brate. What was going right for you guys on third down? It seemed like when you needed guys to be open, they were, and your passes were on the money.
I think we've got to, keep improving that area too, because there were still some plays out there that were just, really close on, just not quite 100%. So, that's a good hard-nosed football team. They cover well. We just made some more plays this week than last week, and we just got to keep learning as we go. It's nothing easy about football. It's a long marathon. Every game's tough, and it's tough to go on the road and win. And had 6 road games, and just got to keep fighting.
We have time for a couple more. Next, we'll go to Steve Isbett.
Tom, you mentioned a lot of mental toughness from the guys this week. Did you feel that you personally had to really tap into your own mental toughness after a rough last Sunday and the other challenges after that this week?
Anytime you lose, it sucks for you, for your coaches, for your families, for your friends, for your, everyone who follows you. But every year you got the same amount of teams in the NFL that win and lose. You can't win them. It's one team wins, one team loses. And when you lose, you got to figure out how to get back on track. So there's no excuses. This team hasn't made any excuses all year. We just get to work and go back there and try to do better. Well, they will.
What goes into the decision for Shipley to move the center and Jensen to go over to guard? Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk suggested that you made the move because you're disillusioned with Ryan Jensen. Any truth to that silliness?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to respond to everybody that says everything. That's completely I have no idea. That's never heard that. I love Ryan Jensen. He's been one of the guys that has been a rock for me. Great teammate, great player, brings it every day. He's got great energy and enthusiasm. And I love playing with Ryan. I've played with a lot of great centers over the years, and Ryan.
All right, that was the great Tom Brady. Want to thank so very much YouTube video for allowing us the opportunity to use that video in tonight's show. For those of you just joining us right now on several different platforms, we're about 14 minutes away from having just a very special gentleman come on our show tonight. It's former New York Mets reliever, Jeff Innis will be joining us. He's played for the Mets, one of the few guys in Major League Baseball that you see played for one team his entire career. Now, Jeff only had, and I say only had, a 6-year career, but he played it all with the New York Mets and this is at a time where the Mets were winning. They had just won in 1986, and he started his career in 1987 with the New York Mets with some unbelievable players on that New York Mets team, such as, you look at that pitching staff back then, Dwight Gooden, Ron Darling, Sid Fernandez, Rick Aguilera, plus one of the best bullpens ever associated, besides himself in that bullpen. They had Randy Myers, Jesse Orozco, and Roger McDowell. So he'll be on in about 12, 13 minutes with us to talk about his career with the New York Mets and in Major League Baseball. So that's definitely something you don't want to miss. Also, I do want to remind everybody, before we get into the defensive aspect of this game, that we do have a call-in number we'll put up there in a minute. But for those of you that are watching us, we are on several different channels here. The first channel we are on is YouTube. Go to Frankly Speaking Sports. You can watch all the Frankly Speaking Sports productions that are filmed on this YouTube channel. For example, you get to watch every Monday night show, every Tuesday night USF Bulls show. If you're not familiar with USF and the Bulls, we do a Bulls Eye platform on Facebook that talks about all the news with USF, and we do a show where tomorrow night on Bullseye, all capital letters now, very important you remember that, we will have the great USF basketball player tomorrow night. Chucky Atkins will be joining us live, so that's a show you definitely don't want to miss. Also, you can follow us at our Twitter account, at Larry Frankus, that's with the US at the end, where we cover all the different sports. We retweet a lot of different things by a lot of different insiders from a lot of different sports. And let's not forget, like I said, our Facebook page, Frankly Speaking Sports, where you can go ahead, you can join us on our platform, become a member, and of course, every single night, you will go ahead and be able to watch these shows as well as keep updated on the latest sports news, like the NBA trade with Chris Paul that happened today. You'll be able to go ahead and keep up on those. Looks like my buddy Donnie is on from Canada. Thank you so much, Donnie, for joining us tonight all the way from Canada. We appreciate you, buddy. And, someone mentioned it, and I don't want to forget this because very, very great line here. How about JPP, the motivator, on our D? I'll tell you what another great game, and what a different aspect he adds to this entire team. Everybody talks about Shaq Barrett's not getting sacks this year. Shaq Barrett's not getting sacks this year. Well, let me tell you what. This front seven is still as dominant as it was last year with Shaq Barrett getting all those. Shaq Barrett still has 5 sacks in just over what? I think we're looking at what are we in 9th game? So just over half a year. So he's on pace to still have 10 sacks, which is a very, very good year for a linebacker. So he's still having a terrific, terrific year. Okay, so the person said that wasn't Donnie who said, well, folks, for those of you that are on our YouTube channel, unless you give Believe.com the permission to go ahead and use your name, you have to go to your application and agree. I don't know which one of you are talking, so I thought that was Donnie. I apologize. Donnie's also my buddy from from Canada. So when you go ahead and you leave a message, if you could go ahead and leave your name and where you're from, it'll help identify. All go to Believe.com and allow them, or go to your YouTube, what do they call, permissions, and allow BeLive TV to use your name so that I know who's actually leaving the comments. I would appreciate it. But, JPP with another great game, had an interception, was very dominant. Shaq Barrett had a sack yesterday. Played really, really well. So lots and lots and lots of great things on the defensive side in the second half of that game. Now, one game does not get you to the Super Bowl, folks. And I don't want to sound negative, and I'm not a negative guy. Seems like all the fans in the previous weeks, have been negative every time this team does do something wrong. But I'm going to tell you something here, that this team still has to work on its cornerbacks. Bunting made a nice play yesterday on that, what was it, the guy running for the touchdown on the kick return. But I like to see him play a better corner position when he's in the game, not just on special teams. I think between him, Davis, and Jamel Dean, they need a lot of work still on coverage. And I don't think it's as much as knowing how to cover as it is to communicate what they're going to be doing and learning to play next to each other a little bit better. This, to me, isn't a coverage issue on how to play coverage. It's more of a communication issue on what each one is going to be doing. And that's something, as much as I hate to say it, folks, it is something that comes with time. So, it's something we're definitely going to have to work on the defensive side. Otherwise, defense, as far as that goes, I thought special teams had a little bit of hiccups on kick returns, and not as far as us returning the football, as far as coverage on it when we kicked off the ball, as, their kick returner got 151 yards. I know it was a huge, 90-yard play on that one return, but still, if guys are running the ball out of the end zone, one or two things have to happen. We have to learn to kick the ball out of the end zone, or we have to learn to cover it when we kick it in the end zone and they're going to run it out. That's the only two things that can happen, and that's what we have to do to become a better all-purpose football team. Remember, our role right now, guys, is we need to get to be an all-purpose football team. You can't have it where you're depending on one side of the football to do it week in and week out for you. It has to be a total team effort. And I thought overall yesterday we played well enough to win, but I don't want to take the facts away that there was, and make it sound like there was nothing that we could have done better, because I couldn't. Give Ryan Suckup, like I said a couple of minutes ago, credit where credit is due, having a quiet, phenomenal year. And I kind of like it that way. Let's keep it quiet. Because he's doing an unbelievable job, and we just love to go ahead and see him continue that this year. So that's going to be great. And then we talked about the switch at offensive line, and you heard Tom Brady talk about it. Tom Brady looked very comfortable yesterday. Hitting all those receivers I talked about. When you can go ahead and distribute that football the way he did, as evenly as he did, to the probably three top receivers in the NFL. Whether you like Antonio or not, he still is a threat and one of the top receivers in the NFL. Okay, that goes without saying. And to have it where you get 6 receptions to Godwin, 6 to Evans, and Brown 7 is just remarkable to keep all those guys in the game, and just a great, great job. So there's not a lot on the offensive side of the ball. The only thing negative, if you want to pick at something on the offensive side of the football, the one thing that I keep saying game after game, and it does need to improve, and if anybody was watching the game, I'm sure you know it does, is we have to do a better job to go ahead and let me just send this message. of catching the ball out of the backfield. Let me just send Jeff this message. He's saying, should try. Give me, I'm just typing a quick message, folks. And we will do it. All right, we're going to try one more time to get him on. If that doesn't work, then we're going to go ahead and we'll just do it as always, folks, over the phone. That's why I always got my backup going here. So if everybody gives me a second, we'll see if he's coming right on with us. All right. He's going to try one more time. If he doesn't get on, he's going to leave me his number, and we'll do it the old-fashioned way like we're used to doing it. So we're just moments away from having Jeff Innis on the phone, former Major League pitcher for the New York Mets. But I did leave a number here. A couple of reminders before we get Jeff on the phone is all right, and we all got to call him, is that tomorrow night on our USF platform, we are going to have Chucky Atkins, the great USF basketball player. Some call him one of the greatest players to ever play at USF. Will be on with us on our USF platform. That's number one. Number two, Wednesday night, we got a very special guest for you. And we're going to announce that right after we get in touch with Jeff Innis here. Let me go ahead and take a couple things down here. Let's get that down. Let's get that down. A couple of quick things here. Let's go ahead and get Jeff Innis on the phone with us. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor, thrill, and most of all, a pleasure introduce to you on the Frankly Speaking Sports Hotline. Let's introduce to you former New York Mets relief pitcher Jeff Innis. Jeff, how you doing tonight, sir? Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so very much for coming on tonight. We surely appreciate that. Well, I do want to thank you very much for taking that time to definitely come on with us. I'm just getting a couple things updated here. Yeah, there we go. We got your picture up on the screen now. Okay. All right. So, Jeff, let me ask you this because I saw one of these things really interesting to me because back in the 80s, I used to live in the great state of Massachusetts. I lived up in a town called Sharon, Massachusetts, which wasn't far away from the Cape Cod area, and the great Cape Cod League that so many great athletes have come out of. I understood you were a part of the Cape Cod League, and I know that you're a member of the Hall of Fame in the Cape Cod League. Talk about your experience of playing baseball before your major league career in Cape Cod. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff, people don't realize. I mean, obviously you do. You played down there in that league, but that the talent and the quality of players that actually play baseball in that summer league. Now, let me ask you this. In 1987, you make your major league debut. You're playing for the New York Mets, who are just coming off a World Series, championship. Talk about what it was like, not just playing, at first in the major leagues, but did you feel any extra pressure or intimidation by playing for the New York Mets? Now, you end up pitching. Let me ask you, obviously everybody that remembers you definitely remembers the style you threw it with the submarine arm position. When did you start throwing? Was that something you did from the beginning, or is that something you did later on in your career to, did it help the arm, the longevity of the arm? Did it feel better? I mean, was there a reason why you did it? Yeah. So let me ask you, you appear in 60 straight games, and you know where I'm going out with this. And the only pitcher to appear in 60 games, you don't have a save, you don't have a win. But I know your type of pitch, and you are a middle relief pitcher, somebody who pitched in the middle innings. You know, sometimes when you were coming in, the game obviously wasn't decided at that point. Did it bother you that even though you got to see your work and do your work very efficiently, did it ever bother you that it didn't sometimes show up in the statistics? Yeah, now let me ask you that. Did you, as a middle reliever, did you enjoy the job? I mean, you obviously enjoyed it. You did it for 6 years. You did it effectively. But was there ever a time where you said, you know, damn it, I wish they would put me more in a closing position or maybe even a starting position? Or were you just content and happy to be right where you were at? Yeah. Now you had some unbelievable talent in that, not just in the bullpen, just on the pitching staff all the general. When you think of Darling, Gooden, Fernandez, Aguilera as starters, and then besides yourself, and I know other guys in there as well. Doug Sisk was in there, Randy Myers, Jesse Orosca. I know Roger McDowell. I mean, when you looked at this bullpen, you know, it was a pretty dominant pitching staff, wasn't it? Jeff, did you have a guy while you were, you know, when you first came to the team in '87? Was there a pitcher, somebody that you became real close with that pretty much, you know, I know every player says when I ask them a similar question, there was somebody that made a very big difference in their career as far as just getting them acclimated to the big leagues. Because as you know, I don't have to tell you, the difference from, you know, AAA to the major leagues is a complete turnaround. Was there somebody that grabbed you by the arm and said, "Hey, kid, let me show you the way"? But Rick, how much more? I mean, Rick, I'll be okay. Jeff, how much is it more fulfilling is when you have a guy like Rick Aguilera that started, like you said, out in rookie year, and you both get to the major leagues. It's got to be that much more. I mean, obviously you're happy you're there, but when you start seeing other players that you are developing with, and learning how to play the game from a professional level, it's got to be pretty good feeling to say, hey, now I got friends on the team. So let me ask you. We've had a guy very well. You mentioned already, Barry Lyons. We've had the pleasure of having him on this show before, and we asked him this from a catcher's perspective, someone being a backup catcher. So I want to ask you this from a pitcher's perspective, because we hear so much positive things about the late and great Gary Carter. I mean, how was it? Pitching for someone like a leader like Gary Carter. Now, you've only played, Jeff, in one place as far as for one team. Obviously, you played against teams, but playing in New York, and before we talk about, the end of the career and everything, but just the idea of playing in New York compared to the other places you ended up playing on the road. I mean, New York, we know about the extra pressure that goes with it just from the media alone. How was it as far as playing in New York for Jeff Innis? Right. And you played on some pretty good teams, but let me ask you this before we let you run, Jeff. As a middle reliever, it's no guess, it's no joke that we both know that it's a completely different game today than it was back in the time you played. I think actually, today, and we can talk about a money standpoint even, is people are looking more today for the type of role you played 40 years ago in the major leagues. It's just a game where now pitches, back when you played, it was nothing for a pitcher to get a complete game. If they were on, they stayed in, they pitched until the coach felt like they couldn't pitch anymore. And, I've seen guys lose a complete game before. Nowadays, you don't even hear the word complete game used anymore in the major leagues. I mean, if you look at today's game, do you ever go and say, damn, I could have made millions of bucks doing this if I just played today instead of back in 1987. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, I said it was the last one, but you made me ask one more, and you made a good point. And I love to ask pitchers, especially like yourself, this. Do you think the reason, and it may be an obvious answer, but do you think more pitchers today are hurting their arms and having Tommy John surgery because of what you just mentioned, that they seem to be putting anywhere from, 8 to 10 miles per hour consistently on the baseball than pitchers did back then? Well, listen, Jeff, we want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your sleep tonight and your real busy schedule, and for appearing on Frankly Speaking Sports. We really enjoyed having you. You're welcome, buddy, and be safe. All right, bye-bye. That was the great Jeff Innis, former relief pitcher of the New York Mets from 1987, I believe, to 1993-ish. We did put a call up. Thank you so much for putting the call-up number on. We got about 6-7 minutes left in the show. Great time for somebody to go ahead, call in. If you have any comments, anything you want to talk about, please let us know. And I know right when Jeff came on, we said we were going to talk a little bit more about some of the great things the Buccaneers did in yesterday's game. And, another thing that I think we have to really give credit to, and we were so hard on last week, the fan base here in Tampa Bay, not just in Tampa Bay, but probably the entire nation, was the inability in that game they got blown out by the Saints on that Sunday night, was to adjust. The coaching staff was to adjust and adapt to some of the things going on in that game. And I think in a 17 games, things were a little tight. We got the ball first. I thought the coaching staff did a very good job yesterday in adjusting the different schemes on defense. They definitely played tighter coverage. I'm not sure if they changed the coverage. I really couldn't tell from all the different TV angles that I'm watching. But just a great job. And, of course, offensively, you play great defense and you get the team great ball position, you're going to be successful in doing a lot of those things that we needed to do to win that game yesterday, and we did. Defense does win ball games. Offense, you need to score. Defense, you need to stop. It's just a reversal of what you need to do and what your role is. And, I mentioned it before, and I really want to say it again, unbelievable. And I say the word unbelievable. Two guys, people are talking about the receiver. They're talking about the running game, which I do not want to take anything away from the terrific job Rojo did. 8.7 yards per carry. Yes, one of them we know was a 98-yard run, but you take that away, he was still averaging close to 5 yards. I think it came out to 4.7 yards per carry without that run. So that's great. You can give guys on defense like JBB credit and the Levante Davids, who is the most underrated player in the NFL. And you can give those guys credit, the Shaq Merritts. But at the end of the day, two guys, well, let's just say the entire offensive line. You guys continually beat them up week after week after week after week. We beat up this team when it comes to the offensive line. Ryan Jensen deserves a game ball and A.Q. Shipley for the performances they had yesterday. Unbelievable. If I had to vote for an offensive line of the week, this team would definitely be have the offensive line. I thought Tristan Wirfs, I got to watch him closely on some film last night. Terrific. Donovan Smith, terrific. Yes, there's going to always be a play you get beat on, guys. Guys, you got to and ladies, you have to understand that in the game of football, there's a certain number of plays. If you run 50 plays a game, you cannot win every 50 plays. There's each side of the ball, one guy wins and one guy loses. Okay? You can't expect Donovan Smith to go out there and on all 50 snaps beat his man. You can like for that to happen, but it's not reality. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's not realistic. And I thought overall this line was incredible. I think Brady got sacked once late, but overall they did a great job protecting Tom Brady. Remember, Tom Brady is what you call a pocket passer. He's not going to be your rollout type quarterback. He's going to be the guy that steps back in the pocket and then steps up and looks for a man, and you're either open or you're not open. You throw it away or you don't throw it away. That's the Tom Brady you're going to get. That's been Tom Brady, and that will continue to be Tom Brady. So overall, guys, let's give this offensive line credit. Now, we're going to go over Thursday night. Sure, we'll go over Wednesday night on a Crew Life platform as well, on crewforlife.com. But then again, Thursday night, when we preview the upcoming Monday night game versus the Rams. You know, we got a lot to talk about. You know, this is a team that is very, very good, and we're not going to get into it right now. That's not what we do on Monday nights. We talk about that beginning on Wednesday. So I do want to let you all know that. Now, I told you here on Frankly Speaking Sports, let's start with tomorrow first. And if we get a call in the next couple minutes, we'll go ahead and take it. I'll take it. So we will go ahead and take it. But tomorrow night on a Bullseye platform, there's a beautiful, beautiful logo made by Easy B, the best in the industry at making different types of logos. Incredible man. Did another great job on this one. Frankly Speaking Sports production. Let me see if I can get let's get the logo in the back screen. All right, there we go. All right. And as you can see, tomorrow night, the great Chucky Atkins, former USF basketball great, will be on our Frankly Speaking Sports platform. So that is definitely something you want to join. If you're not a member, if you go to our YouTube channel, Frankly Speaking Sports, and you already subscribed, you will get this show live on YouTube tomorrow night beginning at 9 p.m. If you are not a YouTube subscriber and you're only on Facebook, you'll need to go to the Bullseye group, capital letters, and go ahead and join our great, great Bullseye group to see this show. And we'll go over that in one moment for you as well. All righty, let's go ahead. As you can see, all right, I don't know if that went through or not. All right, stay with me, folks. There we go. All right, and all right, there we go. We got it all back on track now. I got to do it all sometimes. So anyway, that's on the Wednesday night. Guys, you want to talking about an incredible guest that we were able to land here on Frankly Speaking Sports, and we land so many of them on this show. We're so happy to be able to get so many great, great guests on our show. But we talked about Chucky. We had Jeff Innis tonight. We talked about Chucky Atkins tomorrow. Then Wednesday, we just keep the momentum going. It's incredible. We're going to have former New York Yankee great, Minnesota Twin great too, Chuck Knobloch is going to be joining us Wednesday night on our Crew Life platform, Frankly Speaking Sports Show. Once again, Chuck Knobloch will be joining us on Frankly Speaking Sports on Wednesday night. So once again, folks, we'll give you a quick rundown before we say goodnight here. Let me go ahead and do this and do that. We'll give you one more rundown here of ways you can become a member. If you are not already a member, go to YouTube, Frankly Speaking Sports. You will see our logo. Click on to Frankly Speaking Sports. It's the easier way to get all our shows. So if you want to watch Frankly Speaking Sports, if you want to watch Bullseye, if you want to watch Pigskin Thursday, those are shows that you normally will not be able to see unless you're on Facebook on different platforms. If you go to YouTube, you get to see them all free. Subscribe to Frankly Speaking Sports. It's free, and you will be able to see all our shows. Number two, you can follow us on Twitter, okay? At Larry Frankus, we will put replays of our show on our Twitter account, at Larry Frankus, with the US at the end. We want to keep you updated. And then, of course, our great, great Facebook page group, which is Frankly Speaking Sports. You can also become a member. So, for all of you out there, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us today on Frankly Speaking Sports. Make sure to tune in on our Bullseye channel, our USF channel, the greatest in University of South Florida sports interviews. Tomorrow, Chucky Atkins, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.